Hello, and welcome to Party Wipe, episode 8. We are making a roguelike deck builder where you draft an RPG party in Godot. How's it going, everybody? Whoop, my camera is off. There we go. My lights are also off. It's a hot one today. There we go. How's it going? Hey, Lost Sleep, Rhiannon, Diginanigans. Good to see y'all. Thanks for swinging by. Put on our co-working music here. A little, yeah. All right, we're working on Party Wipe. We're pushing for relentless progress. Relentless. What we can't figure out with focus, we are just wearing down with just sheer drive. All right, where are we at? What's the status? 12:23 p.m. Wednesday, June 10th. Restate my assumptions. No, I'm not going to do that. It's a good pie joke, though. All right, cards are moving. I don't like that I can't quickly grab one and just fling one out, but luckily that does not seem like the way that one plays this game. It's not like Slay the Spire where it might have like 5 shivs and you're just like shoop, 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 shoop. This one's a little slower. This one requires you to really grab the card a little bit before it lets you do anything with it. But right now all we can do is draw and discard. I turned off the animation, the delay animation, because I did not like how it was implemented. This kind of just completely replaces your hand, but it does it more smoothly. You don't really get to see the card back very much. You don't get to see the card flip, but I figured that was an okay thing because it was driving me nuts. I do want some card effects. I want some like on hover and on press effects, but I'm trying to be good and I'm trying not to go too crazy on that right now because it's not mechanically necessary. So what we're doing, our problem right now is that we need to be able to play these cards onto the roster or onto the battlefield to be able to deploy the unit. You can only have one unit of each type. So once you've played the unit onto the field, any additional cards that you play would level up that existing card, or technically it would contribute to their XP. And if their XP gets high enough, that would level them up. So we need to be able to play cards either onto the roster mat like this or directly onto the battlefield. And I honestly don't care which. Doesn't really matter which. But I should probably make like a mat, a card mat here over the battlefield. We've already got a card mat over the roster, but what we need to do is we need to, when we play a card onto the roster, it switches to a roster tab. Honestly, the roster tab should appear even before you've committed. So we have some card drag, card drop stuff to hook up. Everyone's having a fine Wednesday here. So I set up a roster tab layout. Here's like an example for the knight. I do need a resource. So here's the thing. We can continue to use the base resource, so I think that's what we're going to do. I think we'll pass the resource around, and then the card layouts will interpret the resource differently. That's what we're going to do initially with this. I also flipped all the icons so they were on the left instead of the right for the heroes. Since they all face right, that seemed like a reasonable thing to do. And also, that's what I've done here. Largely so that you can instantly tell while you're playing, even if you can't read the card name yet, you instantly know what suit it's for. Because I feel like that's, from a first read standpoint, that's what you would be most interested in. Where you're like, ah, my knight is up next. The unit going after it is going to, like, try to do this, and the knight really needs to stop it. What are the knight cards I could play to, like, help him deal with this? Or something like that. So I feel like that's, your first read is like, here's the problem I see on the board for a particular character. What are the items for that character that are available to me? Kind of, that's what I've done. And then I think on hover, I want the card to, like, lift up out of the hand so that you can read it a little better, but... Again, that's a card, quote unquote, animation that the system has, so like a way to handle. I just haven't built them. Hey, Sapphire, another flyby. Sorry you're having to work late today. Appreciate you swinging by. Appreciate you. I really want to make cards for our card suits, but I'm putting that off until we actually have some kind of card interaction going. And then we're going to need to make a bunch of cards. Which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, we got to get these tabs working. We got to get these tabs into the roster. I'm going to open up the plugin project, the Simple Cards plugin, which is what we're using. I'm going to see... We're starting to leave the realm of what they cover in their examples very clearly, but I think there's still stuff to be helpful, like the what to do on a card drop when a card gets dropped on a mat. What we need to do is we need to move the card. So we want to do things before the drop, which is the interesting part here. We also need a mechanism so that once you've played your unit card, so like you're doing this, blah, 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 you're playing a card to populate your roster. Once you've played a card either directly onto the roster or just kind of on the map or the mat or whatever, you need to be able to deploy it. So I need to do a transition where you play this, and honestly, I want to make this smaller. When it's out here, like when it comes over here, if you're playing this onto a character sheet, this needs to be smaller so that you can actually see the character sheet, etc. Or maybe you don't even. Maybe the character sheet just updates and the card here goes away. I don't know. Wait, there's a lot of transitional stuff that we need to do that's a little kind of wonky and kind of abuses the card system a little bit in terms of substituting things out. But that's what we're working on. So I'm going to struggle with that a little bit today, probably. But I've also got all night tonight at a Godot virtual co-working event. So we are working relentlessly. Relentlessly. So there's a hand here that I've set up that you can play cards into. Let's do something wonky, maybe. Let's... Whose job is this going to be? I guess it's the party roster's job. So it gets a signal from the mat, but right now the only signal it gets is drop. What we want is an entered, card entered. That's really what we want to start. Card entered. Emitted when a card starts hovering over this mat. Yeah, so we want to actually preview the roster tab. And then solidify it. So let's do that. Let's start with that. Let's start with hooking up that signal. Connect this up to its roster. We'll say on mat, card entered. We'll also hook up the card exited, because it seems like if you don't commit, we will want to clean that up. There's a quick go to source, right? Go to source. That's way easier. Card exited. Hey, Arneo. How's it going? LSG, you just installed a 100-foot Ethernet cable to your PC. You can finally have low latency mode on. Nice, nice. Yeah, that sounds good. We don't want to start with card dropped. Well, we want to start... Okay, so party roster extends a unit roster. The unit roster has a mat textures array, a roster count, a roster limit, and a roster sheet bool. This should probably be something else. This should be like... Probably be like show sheet or something like that. Regardless, we want to go to our roster here. We want to set up this mat textures array. I already did. Beautiful. We need another... We need like a roster tabs array. So we'll just make that. Export variable tab textures an array. Is this an array? I'm gonna make it a dictionary for no real good reason. Make it a dictionary for the reason of it'll be easier this way. Where are my tabs? Roster tabs. Oh, no, here they are. Roster tab. Be nice if I could, on hover, see the name of the thing, but sorted alphabetically, so that's okay. Roster. LSG, if that works better, you'll get an electrician to put it in the wall. Works for now. Tired of your stream crashing? Oh, has that been happening? That sucks. I caught a little of your stream yesterday. You were working on that rhythm game. It looked sick. Looked fun. Okay. Shame that these have this I don't get an icon for those ones particularly. Oh, did I stop before actually making that last one? Yeah, I did. Oops. Oopsie. Okay, there's all the roster tab textures. And so what we're gonna do... Actually, wait, why do I want to know the tab textures? That's not super useful. What I really want to know are the layouts. Or not the layouts per se. but the specific layout. That was a mistake. What we want actually is the tab layout. So what we're going to need to do is create a card. Simple cards, V2. Look at the MD for this real quick. So when I actually want to make a card, I load the resource. Okay. Cards, mycard.tres. So we make the T-res. The resource specifies the layout used. Enables layout naming num drop down in the inspector, right? And then I just make the card. So I actually don't need much. I really don't need much. I don't actually think I need a reference to anything except... Here we go. Maybe I do need to make the resource. Card.new. So we make a new card with card data. But if I have different kinds of cards... How do I know what I want? Here, we're just gonna look. Have a look-see. Hey, Samikins, how's it going? Happy Wednesday. Look at my resource here. Yes, so this specifies the layout. So I actually don't need a lot here. Here we go. So what I do need is I do need a resource. No, I just need an instance of the base card resource. I don't know what this song is. I do not like it. Dislike. You were vibing with it. When I'm streaming, I don't want to hear like anybody singing. I get pissed off about it because I specifically select instrumental music only on this service I pay for. So I find it annoying. Sorry you were vibing with it. There's plenty of good music here. I find it distracting. Okay, so here are my options. I could make another card resource, which doesn't seem particularly useful. Or I could just make a tab variation of it, which is probably the thing to do here. Or I create the resource when it's needed. And then I don't worry about it after that. That seems like an option. Maybe we'll try that. Is that an option? Is that an option? To make a new resource? Do we have a good way of getting to these card layouts? They're centrally stored in this database, so like, or in this layout editor thing. So maybe I do have access to them. CG dot. Let me look at the CG. Has the default. Do you keep track of the loadouts? I don't want the default. So I can get a layout, result that appends string name key. This just gets the ID though. Oh, I could get the layout path maybe. You know what is probably easier is to just create them, because there really aren't that many of them. Hey Remus, how's it going? LSG, your issues with trap style hi-hats. I can see that. I can see that. Let me see what the plugin does. I want to see how crazy they go with the. Okay, they make a T-res for every single thing. That's fair. Let's just do that. Although, we could do this. Could do this at the unit card level instead of the base card. So where is, so cards, unit card resource. Extends base card resource, also includes things like attack, defense, health. We'd say at export variable experience. So stop instantiating these here. At export range. The experience range is from 1 to 32. Because, yeah, we don't want to create any units below this. Okay. I think I see what I want to do. Unit, roster tab, layout. So yeah, I don't want to create special resources just for them. So what I'm going to do instead is we are going to create a bunch of resources. we will create a bunch of unit card resources. Unit card. Where are my resources? Yeah, these. Why can't I see this? No result for unit card resources. Really? Oh, it's abstract for some reason. That's not right. Oh, you know who doesn't have experience? Unit cards. You know who would have experience? Hero card. But we don't need that for the tab, so we'll use unit cards for now. And export variable. Oh, maybe an enemy actually does have experience because they're probably worth something to kill. I'll have to think about that. Shenanigans. You got this. Good thing the audio is one way. Yeah. At export variable actions. It's an int. Export variable moves. It's an int. Movement. Moves. We'll say moves. So we'll start with this. Create some new resources. Create some unit card resources. And we'll call this night unit card. Is that what I call them up here? I'll call these here. Base card resources. We'll say night unit resource. Start with just this one, because why not? This needs an icon. It's the card icon. All right, so now we have this night unit resource. It's going to have a card icon. Say night. Atlas. Card level. I'm going to stop writing resource here. And I might say night unit level 1. Card level 1. Card name night. Card suit night. Front layout. Ew. Okay, so I do need to do these. We'll say here. This is, I see what we're gonna do now. I think we are gonna make tab resources. So let's say cards, roster tab layout. Let's make a new script called unit tab resource. Let's say roster tab resource. It will look a lot like our unit card resource. Actually, I honestly might just use the base resource. But just excuse me, just for extensibility, we will do it this way. Base card resource. I don't think it actually is going to extend anything right now. But it might, so just do that. It costs almost nothing. It's only episode 8 and the project already has so many folders. Yeah, I'm still deciding about how to organize the project, but I'm not letting that stop me from making more folders. So I'll make a tabs folder inside the tab. So now we need to make a bunch of resources. Actually, we could call this resources. And now we just need to make a bunch of resources. This is all I need. All I need is the base card resource stuff. This actually needs... This needs the icon. Add icon. And I don't have to define it elsewhere. Actually, forget the roster tab resource. Never mind. We're keeping it. We're keeping it. It doesn't do anything right now, but we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it. We're going to get rid of some of this stuff. I don't need this. And I don't need that. But I do need these. Base card resource. I would have organized this a little differently in terms of how this would work, but we're really trying to just extend and utilize our card plugin. So we're going to say night tab level 1. Maybe we say tab night level 1. Roster tab night level 1. That's good. It's a little verbose, but verbose is good. Verbosity is fine. It's going to be great for when I've forgotten how any of this works. Because honestly, what we should be able to do is we should be able to just use the other resources. Yeah, what we should be able to do is use the other resources. We actually shouldn't need this. But it's easier if we do it this way because we can set out the layouts that we want. And we can just copy the resource info over. So this is the way. This is the way. Maximum warp, Sammykins. Yeah, I'm still working on swapping in some more D&D appropriate stuff. We're gonna have like a refresh of the channel redeems and the sound effects and everything soon. I promise. When soon occurs, I don't promise, but yeah, the way the layouts are tied to the resources, it makes more sense to create extra resources. So then what we need to do instead, the roster itself needs to keep track of these because the roster is going to ask for certain things to be made, I think. So that when we do a on mat card entered, we could handle this higher up, but I feel like handling it here is fine. And so we're going to handle it here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, is this at the unit roster level? Yeah, so we have matte textures. We also need a roster tab. We need a roster tabs dictionary. What fantasy franchise are we gonna pull quote from? You assume it's the Hobbit movies and Rings of Power. Those are two terrible choices. It's funny because they're terrible, but you know what I watched last night, which was a real banger? The 1977 Hobbit movie. So much better than the new ones. It's crazy. It's crazy how much more concise and like good it is. I'll watch the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies, but oof, big oof. You know how long the 1977 Hobbit movie is? An hour and 12 minutes. And they tell the whole story. They like don't skip any of it. Roster tabs, dictionary. Is this a nested dictionary? I think it is. Okay, here's why I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to recreate all this stuff. You know, we're gonna try something. We're gonna see if we can just create a resource, maybe. Effectively, it's the same thing as doing it this way, is the problem. Because what we need to do is we need to be able to make a tab based on the unit type and the unit level. And I could do that with like a nested dictionary or something, but or a dictionary that has an array for its... I don't want to do that. Is it animated? Hell yeah, it is. Hey, Fusionist, how's it going? How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? What I'm tempted to do is to just create the tab using the resource. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Rather than like duplicate all of these, we're going to do this a different way. So we don't need a roster tab resource, actually. What we need is, we do need the layout. The layout is important. It depends on a base card resource, so we can make a roster tab out of any base card resource. And the unit card resources extend from the base card resources, so that's good. What we really should do is have a hero. I wonder if all unit cards should have an experience value. Associated with them. I don't know. I'm still torn on chillin' you. I'm all right. We're really working hard on just getting tons of progress on this. Right now, I figured out kind of how I want to arrange the UI. I'm working on playing the cards, which is a little tricky because when we play a card, it becomes like a tab in this roster. And it also becomes a unit on the battle map. So I'm playing around with like how we're going to both execute that and also preview it. So we need to preview the addition to the roster tab. And then when you've added the card to the roster tab, we need to go into a mode where you can drop it into the tile map. So I'm working on that, because right now all we've got are cards. We've got cards. We can draw, we can discard. But we're not playing anything yet, and that's really what we're working on. No, I assume most of our quotes will be from, like... like The Lord of the Rings and Darkest Dungeon. You know, the newest thing that's good is like that Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I'll say it. That's a good movie. It's good fun. It's dumb, but it's good fun. Monty Python. So core game flow systems, serious stuff. Not even. We're the UI loop that allows for us to play the game. We're not even at the core. So yeah, I guess I could call that a core system. But I'm resisting the urge to work on the UI much more, rather than, except for like the mechanical part here, getting it to actually work. But right now our trick is we need to make new cards. Our little roster tabs are like a kind of card, because then we get a bunch of stuff for free if we make them cards. They can play with our card system, and we can have this reordering system, which I feel like people will occasionally want to do. We get a lot of stuff for free from this card plugin, and I'm kind of abusing the system to get a little bit more out of it. Monty Python is good. I assume you mean you're talking specifically about like the Holy Grail. There's some good jokes in there. Will somebody get a holy hand grenade? I don't know, maybe. Fusionist, you certainly do call it that. Happens less nowadays, but poorly designed UI loops have caused you some grief before. Yeah, I worked pretty hard on the UI here because I really wanted to figure out how much space I had. So, because I have very little information on the cards, and the cards are small and the resolution is low, and so we worked out like a whole like character sheet. So here's like a roster tab, which can expand out into a character sheet like this. And the trick for us is you need to be able to play cards onto the character sheet. So the card is going to need to be able to turn into like a chit. Which is, I think, will be fine. I think the chit will just be the large version of the central portrait icon as like a single piece, so you can see the level border still. And then you'll be able to like play it onto a character sheet or play it onto the battle map. Unladen swallow. Yeah. Is that an African or a European swallow? Have a quick time event where they ask you what your favorite color is. And if you don't, you just die. You don't at a certain time. Yeah. From Honor Among Thieves, you would take a clip of that Juice of the Vine song. I love the song. I love the down-tuned version of it, or the detuned version of it when they're using it as a spell. I'm still deliberating my willingness to draw a copyright strike over it, but I'm very tempted to have that be like our raid sound or something. Is that... I think that would be good. Now we're just listening to jazz. All right, so we need to be able to create one of these. We need to create one of these out of the same base card resource that we are using for the normal card. We have all the information we need, but because we're not recreating a separate set of resources, what I need to do is I need to, like, I guess, maybe copy the resource. What we probably do is make a copy of the resource and then update the layout. That's probably what we're going to try first. So what the party roster would need to know then is the party roster would need to know what its tab layout is. So at export variable tab layout. And that would be a roster tab layout. So this one's the roster tab layout. So we actually need 2 of these. We need 2 of these layouts. I'm going to save this. We actually need different ones. Copy this. We'll have one set of this. This can be the same. So the script can be the same, but we need 2 separate actual physical layouts. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully the system doesn't get annoyed with us for that. Copy that to hopefully not have to totally recreate it. I don't like how picky the system is about you have to create your layouts through this system. It's kind of annoying. But we'll say party tab layout. That way we can make an enemy tab layout that's separate. Say roster tab party. I guess we could do the same thing here. We could say roster tab party layout. We could say party roster tab. All right, we'll do that. That's good enough. Open this up. Delete that. Paste these. Hold on a second. This needs to be 128 by 32. Reset the size. And now we can put this in here. And there we go. There's our party tab. Rename this party roster tab layout. Okay, so we got our layout. Now we can go back here and we can put that in here. I want this. Wait, why can't it be this? Oh, it needs to be a packed scene. Right. Oh, we need to put this script in here. Ugh, okay. Why do you need to know all of this? Oh, right. Roster tab layout, card level borders, card suit icons, card icon, suit icon. You don't need to know that. You can just take the icon. Let's call these card borders. Card borders by level. It's probably the naming convention I should use. I'll do base card, base resource, dot card icon. Not find base card resource. Cards base card resource. Really? It's right here. Not resolve superclass inheritance from card resource. Not. Layout ID not included. What is going on here? Close. Is there a problem with what I've done here? No. Okay. Options string dot join layout ID dot get all. We're just gonna reopen the editor. I don't know what happened there. One thing you think is better with writing GDScript in Godot instead of C#, you're less likely to crash the editor with tool scripts. I don't know. I didn't crash the editor, but I definitely caused some kind of weird problem. Seems to be resolved now. Yeah, there's definitely some weird slowdowns, especially at startup, because of just how many tool scripts are associated with this plugin, but it's okay so far. Okay, we've already roster tab layout. Roster tab layout. Card borders by level. So all we really need to know is the card borders. So we can say 1. Now we just plug these in. I think these are in order. Nope, absolutely not. Okay, they're very much not in order. Okay. Unless I search, then they should be in order. There we go. But yeah, I don't think I would use C# for this project. Even if I didn't need a web build, obviously it's better to just have a web build. Or if I could, for example, build a web build with C#, I still don't think I would do it. GDScript is fine. If you're mostly just interfacing with the engine, you're not doing crazy stuff. After you rig your mannequin model for the 5th time, you think you'll save a backup of it. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Always save your work. Always. Okay, so we have this new layout. The layout will read everything from the base resource. And so what we need to do now is we need our roster. When we enter, what we need to do, tab layout, RST, at export variable roster. Actually, this isn't an export variable. Well, maybe it is. Roster tabs is an array of oh yeah, the tab layout isn't supposed to be a roster tab. It's supposed to be a packed scene. This is an array of roster tab layouts. For non-git friendly assets that aren't easily reversible, you like to keep saving multiple increments. Yeah, I have a really scuffed way to do it if I need to. Like I don't have a large file system, an LFS hooked up for my git stuff, because it almost has never mattered. And I will probably continue to not do that because I do everything in 2D. And when I've done 3D, I've been using assets, so it's like really easy to just get them again if I need to. or save them in a Google Drive somewhere. So that's helped me a lot. The fact that I haven't really needed to save any of that stuff separately. You also have your not code stuff in OneDrive? Yeah. It's easy. It's simple. Okay, so the tab layout here will be our party roster tab layout scene. And so now what we can do is when we make... I need to close all these. Sometimes you just got to close all your scripts so you can actually understand what's going on here. So partyrect.texture is mat texture's roster count, right? So what we would need to do here is we would need to say partyrect texture equals mat texture's roster count plus 1, maybe? Here's what we're going to do. We also need to keep track of roster suits. And that's an array of base card resource dot suit. So we need to know what suits are here, and then we'd be able to reference the tabs. These should be in the same order. Hey, you got a first pass of your AO stuff working? Nice. All right, we're in ads. I'm going to mute for a second so I can eat some of my apple here.
Maximum warp.
Hey, no Joel. Okay, we have maybe a slight problem here because of the fact that the cards don't actually know much. So we make a card with a card resource. The card resource doesn't actually know a lot. It knows its layout name. Okay, maybe we do have to pre-make some stuff. How would we do that otherwise? So if all we know is the card, and all we can do is get the card resource. Actually, I guess what we can do is some duck typing. We can say variable card suit. Well, we can say card resource equals card dot card data dot. Well, how do I get the resource? Is it the card data? Is that just the resource? Yeah, it is. Okay. So we get the card data. Let's say if. Well, we actually are just going to presume. We'll say card resource dot card suit. Well, we'll say get the card data as a base card resource, because it will be. Get the card suit. Let's start with that. Let's start with that. Let's see if that works. Or if we crash. If we crash hard. Let's turn the character sheet off. Alright, we're back from ads. How are you doing, No Jewel? You gotta use the maximum warp as long as it's still here. Yeah, it won't be here for long. But we'll see. Okay. Alright. So that part worked. We were able to get the card resource, so that's good. I had a heart attack. In some systems, you wouldn't be able to pull a base class out and use it as one of its child classes like that. But of course, Godot does it. Card data as base card, not bay card resource, base card resource. We'll say, let's see this. We'll say mini or maxi. Roster count -1 or 0. All right, so now the roster should expand or contract as we move a card over it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, things are occurring. I kind of want to have like a highlight around it when it's got something over it like this. And then now what we need is for me, if I drop it, it needs to appear here as a tab. Actually, I want it to appear as a tab either way. I actually don't want to wait. All right, so what we want to do, so now here's the fun part. What we want to do is we want to create a roster tab. Say variable roster tab equals roster tabs. And the dictionary... Oh no, we can't declare roster tab like that. We're already defined. That's already defined here somewhere. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's not. Roster tabs, array, roster tab layout. Oh, these are the roster tabs we already have, right? Tab layout. That's what we want to do. So we want to say variable roster tab is a roster tab layout. And it equals tab layout dot instantiate and what we're going to do is we're going to say roster tabs append roster tab. Oh, we need to change some roster tab stuff first. So what we need to do, we need to take this layout how are we going to make this happen? What we need to do is we need to plug in the resource. No, this isn't actually what I want to do, is it? I want to actually create a card. We create a new card with a resource. The resource... Oh, I want to create a copy of the resource. I think. We'll do a duplicate. Is there any deep data stored in a card resource? No. So this is kind of a cheeky way to do this, but I think this is going to work. This prevents me from having to make an absolute ton of these resources. So I want to do that. Then I want to say tab resource dot front card layout. Front layout name, I want that to be party roster tab. We're gonna have a const. There's the ampersand. There it is. Party roster. All right, so we're gonna swap out the front layout being used. We're gonna make a copy, swap it out. Man, this has the danger of just creating an absolute ton of everything. But what's my alternative? My alternative... these are all reference counted, who cares? Hey, Helkios, how's it going? All right, so we make this, we duplicate the resource so that we get all the data from it, like what it is, what its level is, etc., etc. We swap out the layout that it's to use. Is there anything else that we care that we need to change? It's literally just the layout. We just need a different layout name. I wonder if this will work. I wonder if execution order will allow us to do this. We are playing around with the plugin. I feel like we're slightly maybe misusing it. But I think it'll be all right. Card entered, tab resource. So we make this new resource, we duplicate it. Now what we do is we say variable tab, we'll say party tab or whatever. Equals card dot new tab resource. So we make the card. Now here's where I have to refer to the plugin a little bit. Card data preload. So we already have the data because we created it. Now we just create a new card. And now we just add it where we want it. Okay. And then, so what we would do, we need a roster hand. Is that something here? Party mat. Party mat. We need a party hand. Add on ready variable. Party hand. Get the party hand. Party hand, not a script yet. Roster hand extends card hand. I feel like we're going to want a party hand that's distinct from the roster hand. Like, I assume the party hand will behave differently than the enemy hand. But we're not going to worry about that quite yet. Roster hand isn't declared here, is it? No. Alright. So we got a roster hand, and so we can declare this card, and then we can say roster hand, or party hand, dot add, child, party tab. And we also have some stuff to do in terms of bookkeeping. Because this keeps track of our suits and our tabs. I wonder if I should have the roster tabs be a dictionary so we don't accidentally mess that up, but whatever. Let's say roster suits dot append card resource card suit. Let's say roster tabs. Oh, we'll do that down here. Let's say roster tabs dot append party tab. And then what needs to happen when we exit, this is all preview, so we need to clean this up. So if this isn't involved, well, if we don't actually have this, we don't actually need to do anything. So we get rid of the not. And so if this exists, we need to remove it from the suits. Not remove. Oh, here's the part where I would kind of like to just have a hash map. Maybe we just have one dictionary instead of roster suits and roster tabs. And the keys can be the suits and the value can be the layout. Instead of keeping track of two separate arrays, it's probably better. You know what we're going to need to do as well is we're going to need to... There's going to be something interesting happening here with the character sheet. I'll have to figure out what that's going to be. Hey, Dorgaz. You made a roguelike on Steam. You wanted to look for some roguelike enjoyers to react to the trailer. Yeah, drop it in our Discord. I'm happy to take a look at some point. We are trying to pretty aggressively maintain momentum, so if we can get some stuff done, we can maybe look at it. But right now, everything's working on it. But that's cool. I want to take a look at the Steam page at least. Appreciate you. Very excited to check out any kind of roguelikes going on. Yeah, I think I am going to add a channel point redeem that's like it. I think I'll call it like Witness Me or something. And it's like, we stop what we're doing and we take a look at whatever thing you made. The important caveat that it's a thing you made. Like, it's not going to be a thing for just like, I saw something funny and I want your reaction to it. So I definitely want a path to that for people, for regular viewers. If not, roster suits has. So roster suits doesn't exist. What I can say is roster tabs dot. What does find key do? Finds and returns the first key or null if it's not found. What does has do for a dictionary? Returns true if the dictionary contains an entity with the given key. Great, love it. That's what we want to see. Not gonna update this and do all of this. Roster tabs. Add. Is it triad? Dot. Or is it it's not a sign. I don't want get or add. Is that the only way to add stuff? Is to do get or add? That seems weird. Set. Here we go. Card resource dot card suit. The value would be. Oh, the value would be this, so we actually need to move this down. Party tab. Okay, that should be fine. And then now we need to clean it up. Let's say roster tabs. It's erase, isn't it? Erase doesn't return the thing we erased, does it? No, it's bool. Okay. So we can say variable party tab is it's a card. It equals roster tabs dot roster tabs for card suit. Wait, why am I storing that? Front layout is tab name. Oh no, I'm not actually storing the layout, right? This is a card. You respect people that are able to stream? No, I appreciate it. I find it can be quite helpful for like accountability and stuff and focus. When I'm working on my own, it's really easy to get distracted with like YouTube videos and whatever. I find it helps to have some kind of thing keeping me focused here. Obviously, you can't do all your work on stream. Party tab is a card. Erase. Erase that. What do I need to do with the tab? So I can't just erase this entry. We have to like clean up this card. I don't remember how to do that. I know how to move the card. I'm not quite sure of is how to get rid of a card. Hey, Helkios, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good Wednesday here. Oh, there's a set layout function. Neat. I don't think I'm supposed to use any of this stuff. Exit tree, kill all tweens. Yeah, I think there's a CG command. Let me see. So that's actually what we're supposed to do here. We create the card. We should say card dot remove, maybe? CG dot I actually don't know how to destroy a card. Interesting thing. It's weird because cards are not often straight up destroyed, but I feel like there is gotta be a way to do this. Just Devin as well, what's the project? We are making a roguelike deck builder where you draft an RPG party. So we're kind of flipping the formula a little bit. So we're working on a process where you like build these little character sheets out of the cards. And you like level up your character and your different items by playing like duplicate cards as a way to like thin your deck. And then there's a little battle scene. There's like a tactical battle system that resolves the actual combat. Drag and drop cards. Hand management. Deck system, card slots, fully documented. Yeah, I do understand that it's fully documented. Where's the API reference? Here we go. What if I want to get rid of a card? How do I do that? What if I want to kill a card? Move a card to a hand, move it instantly. Set up or dealing. Custom movement. Super clicks. Flip the card. Can I just free it? I'm a little worried that there's something keeping track of all the cards. Maybe there isn't anything keeping track of the cards. Outside of the container. Clear and free. Freeze all cards. Well, I don't want to free all the cards. Oh, this is for a container. Maybe I just put them in a... Maybe there's just a container I use for just... Is this Godot? Yes, it is Godot. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for hanging out, Dorgots. We do this quite regularly. Kind of interesting for how this isn't a particularly obvious use case for a card. Maybe there's a card container command that I can just use. Seems like there might be. API is great though. Card deck manager. Do you know how to do this? Manages the card deck by populating card pile nodes with card instances. The manager is intentionally minimal. Yeah, do you have anything about destroying cards? Maybe cards aren't even really... Override to customize card creation. Yeah, I don't need to do that. Yeah, this is so funny. This isn't like a regular feature you would need. So I'll have to just make sure I do this in a way that's relatively clean. Maybe we just try to do it the simple way and see what happens. Let me see. Actually, what I'm going to do is we're going to dig into... We're going to dig into the card creation process and see what happens. See if there's anything getting registered. So like card new. cg.cardindex plus equals 1. If card resource, card data equals card resource. Name equals string cg.cardindex. Name equals card plus card index. So this is for creating a new kind of card. Maybe just a copy of a card. Editor. If engine.isEditor hint return. So if we're in the engine, if we're in the editor, you don't do any of this. Fascinating. What is the CG? Let's look at the CG card index. Used in the init function of the card, makes sure every card instantiated has a unique name. So this should be fine. I don't think we're going to be making like 2 to the 63rd minus 1 number of cards. But this is like a theoretical problem. Is we are recording all the indexes of the cards. So maybe it makes sense to do this differently. Hey, K-Cog, how's it going? Because we can't just minus the index. We can't just reduce the index. And it doesn't seem meaningful to do anything else. But that theoretically could crash the game. In practice, I don't think that would ever happen, but theoretically possible. Hey, Commander. How's it going? Theoretically possible, your least favorite kind of possible. Yeah, it's one of those things where it couldn't possibly ever actually happen. In practical terms, I don't think it could ever happen, but it does expose like a weird point here. Trying to make a video essay? You're struggling with the video editing part? Oh yeah, I feel like eventually I'll have to do some video editing, and I am not looking forward to it. Either for devlogs or for like my game trailer or whatever. It's not an area that I like. Okay. This kind of changes. I thought I liked this idea because what we were going to do is we were just going to duplicate resources. We were going to just grab the resource from the card. We were just going to grab the resource from the card and then use it to kind of create some different information. Like we were just going to create a little tab thing. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I could just change the card. We're going to try an experiment that's almost certainly going to cause a catastrophic failure. But we're going to try it. Because I actually don't... Honestly, the tabs don't need to be cards. They really don't. It's kind of greedy. Oh, you're just going for like the meme video. Yeah, I don't know how much I love those, but I'm also not Gen Z, so. They do really well. That formatting style. So instead of that, we can still use the resource here. So we'll say card resource. So we've got the card resource. And then what we could do... Because actually the card doesn't get destroyed very much often. Oh man, this problem's going to come up again when we start transforming cards. Because when we level up cards, like let's say you used 3. Well, actually it wouldn't take 3. Let's say you used 2. Maybe it would take 3. Let's say you used 3, level 1. Like you played 1 night card, and then you played 2 more night cards. Would it just take 1 more? I'd take just 1 more. Let's say you play for the sake of argument, let's say you play 1 night card, that night card appears as a unit. You play another night card for the purpose of leveling up the first night card. I guess what the easiest thing to do rather than like deleting cards would be to just have like a trash pile. Like a place for cards to go where they just never return from. And then we're never really creating new cards. Oh, it's no judgment on that editing style, Rhiannon. Not Rhiannon, Commander. Y'all have the same name color right now. Yeah, no judgment. I think that's cool that you're doing some video essay stuff. All right, so how do I actually want to create this? I was going to just use a card. And that way you could like reorder your party. But maybe I don't let you do that. Yeah, maybe I don't let you do that. I was going to do the same thing with the character sheet, but I actually see why that's problematic now. So we're not going to do that. So let's recreate this as not a layout. We're going to close this so that I can delete it here. We're going to make a new scene. User interface. Just be a control. We'll say party, roster, tab. We don't need a sub viewport. This is going to have a specific size, container transform size 128 by 32. And that simplifies a lot of things for us. We will say party roster tab, .gd. So the roster is not going to be a card-like thing anymore, I've decided. We've got a party roster. We've got a party roster tab. So the party roster tab extends control. Really, it should extend roster tab. Say roster tab extends control. Save the file. We have all of these. What we need is some stuff. So we do need that dictionary. Said card borders. I'm going to say textures by level. Say tabs by level. Get a dictionary, an int, and a texture 2D. We'll fill this dictionary in for like the 8th time. It's the one reason I don't like using export variables for stuff. But it's not that hard. I think it was a little too greedy to try to use the card plugin for my like interesting bespoke UI solution here. I think it's better to just do our own thing for that and not abuse the card system. Cards will just be cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. It'll be easier this way. Got that. We've got all these onReady variables. We're going to have a minimum size. It's 128 by 32. I'm really excited to like actually get some stuff happening here. Get some combat going. We need to make a ton of cards. I'm thinking we'll have probably like 60 card starter decks or something. Does that seem reasonable? Like, that's a very arbitrary number, but I'm thinking like 15 cards per suit to start. Is that too many? Might be too many. Thinking like start out with like maybe like a few unit cards of your type and then a few different items. Enough items that you can like equip your character, but they're all very low level. I don't know how big a starter pack should be. Your only frame of reference is STS, so you wouldn't really know. Yeah, me either. We're doing something kind of weird here. Okay, so we've got our roster tab. This thing exists. What we can do now is we'll have a control that we call, it's a margin container, I guess. We'll have a margin container. We'll call it party tabs. We're not going to do the hand thing anymore. It was kind of neat that we were going to use them as like card hands, but we do need like a party piles thing where we actually do keep track of card piles. So we need like we need like a pile. We need some card piles. Be like a unit pile. It'll be like where all of the character cards go. But let's work on this first. So this is going to have a margin like this. Oops, that was wrong. Should this actually be a VBox container? Probably. Change type, VBox. Then we'll just move it. Okay, so we're not going to mess around with any of this stuff anymore. We do have the card resource. And so what we're going to need to do is move the card. But we'll do that on the mat drop. And so, in fact, we have this roster tabs dictionary. So we'll need to say roster tabs. So we're going to just be adding, what did I call these? Roster tab files, scripts, files, roster tab, class name. Yeah, so this is what we'll do. This is how we'll do this. Although you actually don't know you don't actually have any information, do you? Would it be best to just restore a card resource? Like a variable. card resource. It would be at least a unit card resource. So then we can read the information from the card resource. Although, I guess, no, we don't actually want to... Not sure how I want to do that. But what we can do, let's ignore the roster tabs thing. A little bit, actually. Unit roster tabs, dictionary, base cards, sort resource.suit, and card. That's not actually what we want to do. We want to say roster tab. Tab layout, we don't need to know anymore. This is arguably not an export variable. Very little of this is. Show sheet. Yeah, whatever. We'll figure that out when we get there. Matte textures, we still want. Roster tab, so we're just going to do this for now. At export variable roster tab is a packed. We can say roster scene. We can say tab scene. Say packed scene. Say tab packed scene. So this party tabs thing, or no, the roster will keep track of the tab scene that we want to use. We want to use the roster, party roster tab scene. We want to use this. Just say tab scene. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, say variable party tab is tab scene dot instantiate. Instantiate. Then we say party tabs dot add child party tab say roster tabs dot set card resource dot card suit party tab we need to do a bunch of stuff. We need to say like party tab dot card We need a setup or an update or something. We need like a setup function for this. Master tab. Already roster tab. Funk. Setup. So we'll say we need to set it up and we need to get a card resource. So it takes a unit card. Actually, it could just take a base card resource. And then what we do is we say card front dot texture is card resource dot. Oh, that would be tabs by level. Oh, well, we're going to start with 60 card deck. Standard MTG card deck size, right? Seems like a lot, but I think the whole point of this game is about thinning your deck a lot. So if you start with 60 level 1 cards, your goal is to get down to like a small number of high level cards, right? So you're going to be constantly, you'll be adding cards from like winning fights and opening booster packs and stuff, but you're also going to be trying to level up or sell out of cards that you don't want. So I feel like obviously it's something we're going to need to play with, but I don't mind making 15 cards for each of our card suits to start. That seems eminently feasible. Not level label, we need the level value.
Your logic was impeccable, Captain.
Yeah, enjoy that, I guess, while that's here too. The milling will be fun. Choose a level 1 card in your draw pile and destroy it or something like that. Well, that's not the goal. The goal would be combining your cards to make higher level cards, right? But yeah, milling the deck would be funny. There could be some fun stuff like that, right? Like maybe that's something that like the Warlock does, right? Where like the Warlock is like makes an unholy pact and is like it literally is like destroy a card to do something. Heading back into ads. Hold on to your ads. Honestly, I should save card suit right now. Variable card suit is a base card resource. Suit. All right, into ads. I'm going to mute for a second while I eat this apple. All right, we're back from the ads. Thank you for the follow. I want to watch E3. That's fun. That's not a thing anymore, right? Hey, Dean. How's it going? Why did you choose Godot over Unreal Engine? That is a fascinating question. I chose Godot over Unity. I used Unity for a very long time, and then for a few years ago, I switched to Godot. Why would I use Godot just out as a default? I usually make 2D games. Godot is better at making 2D games than either of the other big engines, aka Unity or Unreal. I've used Unreal back in the day to do some like Quake style stuff. It's good. It's a good engine. I don't think it's anybody's go-to indie game dev engine. It's built for like big studios, big teams. Obviously, you can use it for whatever you want. And with like the blueprint system, you don't have to be a programmer to use it. But like, I would not. I don't think that's the default for almost anyone in indie game dev. Not that it's a problem. Do you use Unreal? It seems like a great engine. But yeah, I wouldn't consider that engine really, unless I had a very specific reason. I think it's reasonable to be like, why would you use Godot over Game Maker? Why would you use Godot over, I don't know, like Odin or like some other framework? These are good questions. You're learning Unreal? Okay. I think it's a good thing to learn if your goal is to get like an industry job. If you're like, I want to be a technical artist, I want to be a level designer, I think Unreal is a good option. But if you're like, I want to make my own indie games as a small indie dev, I don't know if it's the best way to start. And I mean that in I don't know. It could be. Okay. Wow, that was easy when I didn't try to do the whole card thing. What we need to do is now when we do this, we need to have like a pile so that I can play this card and it goes into a pile. And then we need an interaction where I can place it on the battle map, and we need to be able to level this night card up. So we need a number of things after this part, but let's focus on... Let's focus on the drop, because right now when I drop, the card goes back to my hand, and then this stays here. And then what happens when I do this? Okay, nothing because it's already in the roster, so that's good, at least. I'm going to add a... we'll do that separately. We'll do the character sheet thing separately. So what I need is my on-mat card dropped thing, but I do need... So we need card piles. We need card piles. Yeah, I think LSG's got a good point. If you love 3D, Unreal's pretty good. Yeah, first person, third person, 3D. It's super heavy duty engine. Hey, Trevron, a new game? Yes, we are making a roguelike deck builder where you draft an RPG, like a party RPG. Not party RPG, an RPG party. It's called Party Wipe. And it's going to be this hardcore little game where you are... All of your cards are like nouns, so they're your characters and your equipment and stuff. And there's going to be a little tactical battle map. So as characters die, their cards will come back into the deck, and you're trying to like maintain your party and like have the right equipment for each fight and level up the cards by playing more of them. So like we can level these up. Sounds cool. Yeah, we're really pushing hard. We're in our second week of dev, and we're trying to approach this as like the anti-dream game. We're trying to approach this as like a really down and dirty, like almost game jam like workflow. Like we're using a lot of assets, we're using plugins. How are you doing? What are you been up to? Hey, David Huffman, welcome back. I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a David. Solidarity, my brother. All right, so when the mat card gets dropped, we need to... So do I just want to have a set of card piles? I feel like I could do that. I could be like, I might do it like this. Like an array of card piles. Variable party piles. It's an array of card pile. Are they hidden by default? Its default is false. Okay, that's good. Do you register to anything? You know who probably is supposed to know about this? It probably should be the deck manager. It initializes piles from a deck definition, provides convenience methods for common operations. The manager does not own or create piles. You add piles in the scene tree and assign them. So it seems like the answer is no. Okay, it seems like this is a tremendously minimal thing. So maybe the rosters can handle this stuff themselves. Actually, let's make this a dictionary. Say if not party piles dot has card. Here, do this part. Card suit. And what we can do is we can move the card. Who decide who does where do we who when we do a discard we see player hand dot move all to. I see. So if it doesn't have, we don't have a party pile, what we want to do is we want to say party piles dot set card suit, and we want to say we want to create a new pile. Base game on pause for now? Yeah. I'm trying to think like that too. Yeah. I'm really fighting against my nature. But I've been working on dream games for a long time, and this game feels like it has the right mix of appeal, fun, and scope, and I'm just really pushing. Our goal is to get a demo out by the end of the year and put it into February Next Fest. So we have a super aggressive timeline on this game. And we're just pushing hard. It's going to cost a lot. It's going to require a lot of sacrifice, but just got to get it done. Got to ship it. Do these piles need to have a physical presence for maybe? Like, what's gonna happen if I try to just keep these in code? I don't think it'll matter. I do think we need to instantiate them though. Exciting, dude. It looks like an awesome concept. Yeah, thanks. I'm hoping so. We're working on the core weird kind of card mechanic of playing cards onto like a roster and then like a character sheet. I tried abusing the system and treating those as like other kinds of cards, but this plugin we're using, while really cool, has its limits. But yeah, we're pushing really hard to get the card interactions done, so then we can work on the turn-based battle map kind of thing. Like imagine like an Into the Breach style thing, but it's presented like a roguelike, like it's a small, like this is the whole battle map, this one room. This is as big as a battle map gets. Same size as Into the Breach, except that it's 6x10 instead of 8x8. So I think it'll be cool. It feels a lot smaller than Into the Breach size-wise, but I think that has more to do with their cool art and sense of scale you get. But yeah, using plugins like this card, this simple cards plugin, and using assets a lot, and just being less precious about the process, about having to make everything from scratch, has been very helpful to me. You were bad at Into the Breach. I'm also bad at Into the Breach. I gotta play a lot more of it. So we got party tabs, which is this thing. I guess we should also have a party piles child here. So we'll just make that a control node. It really doesn't need to be anything. Our dictionary. Oh, it's the roster tabs. Variable tab. Files. I'm going to make a new script here. We're going to call it a roster pile. It's going to extend card pile, just in case we need any special behavior. Or no, it wasn't roster pile. It was like a tab pile. Is that what I called it? Yeah, I call it a character pile. It's not a pile of characters, but it's a characters pile. Unit pile? Yeah, it really just is a card pile. Does it need anything special? Shuffle, peak, and visibility controls. How does peak work? Returns the top card. Peak cards. I kind of want you to be able to see all the cards. Returns an array. Oh, and then I can just decide how I want to render them. Cool. Cool. Well, that's great. In which case, do I actually need a special thing? I'm not gonna do it. We're gonna keep things simple. Discard. Delete that. Although maybe we do still have it. I'm just gonna call them card piles, and we're just gonna store a card pile. We're not gonna do anything special. Let's say card piles. So if not, card piles that has this suit. So if we don't have a pile for this suit, let's say card piles. Oh dang, card piles is a control node here. Oh, you know what? We actually don't need this here. This doesn't need to be here. This is too far down. Because you know who's not going to have a pile of cards associated with them? Enemy units. So yeah, this is fine. The party piles thing is fine. Hey, Vitamort, how's it going? We're gonna say variable card pile equals gonna make a new card pile. Can I do that? No, I can't. So let's make a scene. We'll call it party pile. It's going to extend a card pile. Show cards off. Card container shape. It's empty. Cards are not going to be focusable. Okay, so this is all just a implementation detail here. So go back here, party roster. So we've got our tab scene. But what we need is a add on ready variable party pile. It's going to be a card pile, and it's going to be this. You doing fine? You're moving your Roguelike Deckbuilder into a more extensive playtest phase next week. Cobbling together a worthy tutorial. Yeah, tutorialization is really hard. It's definitely where a lot of the battle is. Variable card pile equals party pile dot instantiate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say card. Also got this. So we're going to say card piles dot Add child. We're going to add this card pile. We're going to save that. So we're going to store it. And then what we're going to do is we are going to move that card. We're going to say card.move to card pile. Party pile, card pile. Oh, it's a pack scene. All of this. I could call them suit piles instead of party piles. So piles by suit. Hey, kitty board. Why don't you control D when changing variable names? I'm not like a big hotkey wizard. I kind of like to see all of the implications of what I'm about to do, so it's kind of nice when I break stuff and then I have to go look at it, but that's not a good reason. My reason is that I don't think about it very much. Card.move to card pile, party pile. Piles by suit, no. Party piles. Why is this called roster tabs? All right, let's see if this works. Hey, so it did appear here. What I need to do. So we were able to play the card, which is neat. So we can grab our card. We can hover it over the roster. And if you change your mind, you know, it goes away. But we can play it. Now it's gone. And it's in this pile. I gotta cover up that gray color. That pile, the pile by itself has a style box that I don't want. So we just style box empty it. So now what we need, there's something to do with the old fashioned way. It's not that noble. I'm just not very good at my workflows suck because I do think about workflows and improving them, but I don't always, and I don't all the time, and I don't learn all the hotkeys. I should use what Godot has in terms of its IDE because I actually get kind of annoyed at some of the limitations, which is weird because I don't fully use it anyway. There's some refactoring stuff that's kind of annoying in the Godot IDE, but yeah. There's no good reason. So now if I... But how's it going? How's it going, Kitty? I don't know if that's how I should say your name. So if I do this, now it's gone, and now it's in this pile. So now when this knight dies, I can take all of the cards in its pile and then discard them, put them back into the discard pile. And if I play another card and we level up the hero... Ooh, that's a problem. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to say, so if tabs by suit has card suit and not piles by suit dot has card suit. So if we're only part way into the process, don't do that. So I can play this, do that, and now if I play another, okay, now it doesn't do that. So now we need to be able to play another one of these on top, and it needs to do a couple of things. I think for this, it would be okay. What it should do is if I hover over the party roster with a similar card, actually, honestly, if I grab a suit card, it should bring up the character sheet for that person. What I should do is add a click thing so that I can click and swap out the character sheet. That's what I should do. So we need to do some stuff with character sheets now. We're running out of time for today, but we're doing something. I'm all right. We're working hard. We're pushing this project pretty hard. It's not that crazy. We're just trying to do some weird UI interactions. Okay, so... So this is going to have a special thing called a character sheet. What I guess I need to do now is I need to make a character sheet. Scene. So new scene, control, we'll say character sheet. I might just say care sheet. So we have a character sheet. That character sheet has a set size. Actually, this doesn't need to be a node. This could be a... So what did I do for the tab? Roster tab. Roster tab. Party roster tab. I had the card. The card front is a child of it. So yeah, let's just do that too. We're going to, so let's just make the character sheet. Maybe that's what we do. How big is the character sheet? I think it's, I actually don't know. We're gonna ask. Character sheet. What size are you? 160 by 192. Okay. We need to know about these. Yeah, we'll probably want a character sheet script. We'll probably have things like at export variable. You gotta go? No worries. Game's looking good. Thank you. Thank you, Ketty. Appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out today. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to keep track of... So right now we're keeping track of a lot of things in the roster. Oh, yeah. Hold on. The character sheet wants to have a mat. We're going to say a sheet mat. And actually, this is going to be a card mat. Well... I'm going to say sheet... Correct. Well, there isn't just one, is there? Or is there? Yeah, there can be. There could just be one. And then what we want is we want another node here that's a mat. It's a card mat. But I actually want a new card mat sort of deal. I want to make one of these, and I want to extend it. And I want to call it... sheet mat, I guess. No, I want to... Who cares? Doesn't matter. We'll probably change this behavior for the enemies. Because, again, the enemies, it's not going to be like you see their equipment and stuff. They're going to have a character sheet, but it's going to look different. I'm going to get bitten by some of this later. But, you know, let's not let that hold us up now. We've got our character sheet map. I need to do some organizing. But we're not going to do that right now. Hey! Retro engine beaming up. Appreciate you. I gotta replace that with like some great like horn sound or something. Something more dungeony. How are you doing, engine? What am I doing with this right now? Nothing? Should the mat be the one that knows its materials? That's not really what I do here. Okay, so I have a mat. Okay, the mat is for hooking up signals and for controlling behavior. So I actually don't know why I have a script for this. Except to just change the icon size. I guess that's a good enough reason. It's a terrible reason, but it's good enough for me. And so here what we're going to have, just save that. We're going to have our sheet mat. Reopen this scene. So we have a record of material. The mat is going to... It's also going to have these functions of card drop and stuff. So its parent, it will have its own on mat card dropped. It needs a mat textures thing. Am I gonna have a problem with like competing. I think I'm gonna have a problem with competing input processing. So maybe we actually don't want this. I think I've changed my mind on that. But this could still have these matte textures. Textures by level. Is that what I called it? Oh, you know what I haven't created is those. Export that. So we want to get rid of that. Got to get rid of the fill. We got to get rid of the text. So it would be character sheet level 1. Okay, so we have our character sheet level things somewhere. Probably here. Two. Okay, so the character sheet knows its textures, so it can reset itself based on that. What we need is a ton of formatting for this. So for now, I'm going to set this to level 1. I'm honestly tempted to not have this be a separate thing and just have this here. Then that helps a lot. Oops. Because then we can do a lot of formatting stuff more easily. So we can just set this to full rect. Whoa, apparently we can't. Okay, maybe we don't do that. Doesn't really matter. These are all going to get positioned rather. So we're going to have a bunch of stuff. We're going to have character name. It's going to be why can't I see this? Is it because this is in front? Yeah. So we'll center this and pull it down. Okay. Character label, character. Here. Level, label. I'll have to line these up in a little bit later. So it goes that way. Do some rearranging. It's not really gonna... That looks slightly off. Maybe that's this thing's fault. Here, it's probably easier if I just do this, right? Then it's, I just know it's centered. Something with this. Problem is the way this font works. But, all right. The way this font is set up is kind of annoying. This doesn't look very centered. In fact, it looks precisely not centered. Like all of the numbers like they're too far over. There's just some justification stuff happening here. I don't know. It looks wrong when it's like this, but I'm going to leave it because I'll figure that out later. All right. So I've decided that I will kind of want it to be laid out this way. I flipped a bunch of stuff around yesterday. So like the icons on the left now and the levels on the right so that it's in line with the roster tabs. I also moved the stats so that HP, attack, and defense are on the left, and then XP, move, and act were on the right. Mainly so that XP could be next to level. You know what? Maybe I don't actually want to use card mats. It's like the easy thing to do. Maybe what I actually want to do is just when you drag a card out of your hand, this game kind of tries to figure out where that card would go. I guess that doesn't always work. There are common items like food and potions and stuff. Just the character sheet mat is bigger than the roster mat, but maybe we just make the roster mat bigger, and that solves for that. I also want you to be able to play cards directly onto the battlefield. So I don't know. I'll have to play around with that. But yeah, you should be able to play more cards onto here. And playing an additional night card onto here should be relatively trivial. So we actually don't have to worry about that right away. What I could do is actually just work on the leveling up part. If you level up a hero, you probably want to see their character sheet while you do it, though, because you probably want to see how their stats change. So it does make sense to just pop up the character sheet. So I should just do that. I should just set that up. That said, we are out of time today. We got like one thing figured out. We tried stuff and changed direction. And you know what? That's honestly most of game dev. It's trying something and then doing something else. But we can technically add cards to the roster now. That's about all we can do. That's something. I'll try to make some better progress tonight so that we can actually play these things out. I don't think the thing is going to ask us to play them onto the battle map yet. I think that's going to be a later. I think I'll need to actually build out the map before we can do that, obviously. So we're going to not worry about that. Right now, we're going to worry about just being able to play cards from your hand onto the roster and then onto the character sheet of the character from the roster. And I think I want to work that whole interaction out first. Then we'll be able to make it so that you can play, when you play a character onto the roster, you can then put them on the board. And then after that, we'll need to be able to activate abilities like attacks and stuff and moves for that character. But we're on our way. We're on our way. We made some choices. I just need to work out the consequences of that. Sometimes progress is fast and very visible and quite sexy, and sometimes progress is slow and largely invisible. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Quiet day today, but it's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Appreciate everyone who's just been chilling. Progress is never linear. That's true, Arneo. That's a good way to think about it. There's a lot of stuff happening under the surface. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.